The film opens in Los Angeles, where we first meet John Hancock, a superpowered individual who has extraordinary abilities such as flying, super strength, and invulnerability. However, unlike typical superheroes, Hancock is an irresponsible, alcoholic, and reckless person who doesn't care about public opinion or the collateral damage caused by his actions. He lives alone in a rundown trailer, often waking up drunk or hungover. Hancock is not well liked by the public due to his destructive methods of dealing with criminals. Whenever he tries to help, he causes significant damage to the city, which frustrates both the authorities and the people he's supposed to be saving. In the early scene, a high-speed police chase is happening on a busy Los Angeles highway. A group of armed criminals is fleeing in an SUV, and the police are struggling to stop them. While Hancock is lying on a public bench, clearly hungover, a young boy comes over and tries to wake him up, calling him a jackass for not doing his job as a hero. Reluctantly, Hancock gets up, finishes his drink, and flies off to deal with the criminals. Hancock's flying is not graceful. He crashes into signs and buildings as he zooms toward the scene, already showing his lack of care for collateral damage. Hancock swoops in to stop the criminals, but his approach is messy and destructive. He picks up the SUV carrying the criminals and flies it into the air, causing more property damage along the way. Instead of carefully apprehending the criminals, Hancock drops the SUV onto the spire of a skyscraper, leaving it dangling there. The criminals are stopped, but the city is left with significant damage, and the public, as usual, is furious with Hancock's recklessness. The media and the police criticize Hancock for his careless methods, questioning whether he is a hero or just a public menace. Meanwhile, Ray Embry, a public relations specialist, is trying to pitch an idea for corporate social responsibility to a group of executives. Ray is a kind-hearted and optimistic person, but his ideas are rejected as impractical. After the meeting, Ray drives home, feeling dejected. On his way, his car gets stuck at a train crossing, and he is unable to move it in time as a freight train approaches. Just as Ray braces for impact, Hancock appears and rescues him. However, true to his reckless nature, Hancock stops the train by letting it crash into him, causing a massive pileup of other train cars and creating even more chaos. Unlike most people, Ray is genuinely grateful to Hancock for saving his life, despite the massive destruction caused by the rescue. Ray recognizes that Hancock's image is badly damaged, but he believes that Hancock can be rehabilitated. Ray offers to help Hancock improve his public image by managing his public relations. He suggests that Hancock could become a hero the city admires if he learns how to handle situations with more care and respect. Hancock, while initially indifferent, is intrigued by Ray's offer. The idea of changing his reputation and being seen as a true hero is something he hasn't considered before. After Ray offers to help Hancock improve his public image, Hancock agrees to come to Ray's house for dinner. There, Hancock meets Ray's wife Mary, and his young son Aaron. Ray's son Aaron is thrilled to meet Hancock, as he sees him as a hero despite his bad reputation. However, Mary is not impressed by Hancock and seems uncomfortable around him. There is immediate tension between Mary and Hancock, but it's not fully explained yet. During the dinner, Hancock displays his usual lack of social skills and crudeness, making the evening awkward. Ray, however, remains hopeful that Hancock can change. Ray explains his PR strategy for Hancock. He tells Hancock that the public currently sees him as a menace, but if he changes his ways, he could regain the people's trust. Ray suggests that Hancock start by apologizing for the damage he's caused to the city and the people. Ray's plan includes voluntarily going to jail to atone for his destructive actions. Ray believes that if Hancock shows accountability for the damage he's done, people will start to see him as more responsible. Hancock is hesitant, but Ray convinces him that going to jail will make people realize how much they need him when crime rates start to rise without him patrolling the streets. Hancock begrudgingly agrees to go along with the plan, even though he's not fully sold on it. In a public spectacle, Hancock turns himself into the authorities. He is placed in prison, where he is housed with some of the criminals he had previously arrested. This creates a tense situation, as many of the prisoners harbor grudges against him. In prison, Hancock struggles with his temper and isolation. He attends anger management sessions, but his abrasive attitude makes it clear that changing his behavior won't be easy. The prison scenes emphasize Hancock's internal conflict and his struggle to control his powers and personality. Despite being in prison, Hancock remains powerful. A few minutes later, there's an inmate that taunts him, and Hancock uses his super strength to humorously put the inmate in his place. However, these outbursts show Hancock's difficulty with restraint, a key issue that Ray is trying to help him overcome. While Hancock is in prison, crime rates in Los Angeles skyrocket, and the city starts to realize just how much they relied on him to keep the streets safe. Ray's plan begins to work, as the public starts calling for Hancock's release so he can resume his crime-fighting duties. Hancock, though still resistant to some aspects of Ray's advice, begins to understand the importance of changing his image. He starts to follow Ray's guidance, attending his anger management classes and trying to fit in with the other inmates, even though he knows he doesn't belong there. Meanwhile, a major bank robbery takes place in Los Angeles, and the police are unable to stop it without Hancock's help. The robbers take several hostages and rig the bank with explosives, creating a tense and dangerous situation. The city officials and the public desperately call for Hancock's release, realizing that only he can save the hostages. Ray's plan has worked, as the public now sees Hancock as a needed hero, and they beg for him to return. Hancock is released from prison to deal with the bank robbery. Before going into action, Ray advises him to be more careful and avoid causing unnecessary damage. Ray also suggests that Hancock wear a superhero suit to appear more heroic and professional. Though initially resistant, Hancock dons the new suit, marking a visual and symbolic change in his character. Hancock flies to the scene of the bank robbery, where he uses his powers to rescue the hostages and confront the robbers. He faces a particularly tough situation when one of the robbers has a detonator attached to him and threatens to blow up the building. Hancock acts quickly and efficiently, managing to neutralize the threat without causing any damage to the surrounding area, a significant improvement from his earlier reckless behavior. After successfully saving the hostages and stopping the robbers, Hancock gains the approval of the public. The city cheers for him, and he's hailed as a hero for the first time in a long while. This marks a turning point in his journey toward redemption. Ray's PR plan has been successful, and Hancock's reputation is on the mend. He begins to realize that being a hero requires more than just brute strength, it also involves responsibility and respect for the people he's protecting. After being released from jail, Hancock is now seen as a hero. The public's perception of him has improved significantly after he successfully saved the hostages without causing unnecessary destruction. Hancock starts to take his responsibilities more seriously, and people begin to cheer for him. The city's once negative attitude towards him turns positive, with Hancock becoming the respected hero that Ray envisioned. During this time, Hancock's interactions with Ray's wife, Mary, grow more intense. There is an unexplained tension between them, and Hancock seems to notice something unusual about Mary. Hancock becomes suspicious that Mary is not who she appears to be, especially as her reactions to him seem strange. While Ray is oblivious to the growing tension, Hancock feels there's more to Mary than meets the eye. Later, Hancock confronts Mary at the Embry household about the strange energy between them. In a heated exchange, Mary reveals that she also has superpowers, just like Hancock. The confrontation escalates, leading to a superpowered fight between the two as they clash in the kitchen and through the streets, showcasing their immense strength and abilities. Hancock is shocked to learn that Mary has been hiding these abilities all along. After the fight, Mary explains the truth to Hancock. They are both immortal beings who have been alive for thousands of years. They were once linked as a couple in past lives but have forgotten much of their shared history. They are part of a special breed of beings who have superhuman abilities, and their connection to each other is the key to their powers. The closer they are to each other, the more vulnerable they become. When they stay together for too long, they begin to lose their immortality and become mortal, making them susceptible to aging and injury. This revelation changes the dynamic. Hancock, who has been struggling with loneliness and not knowing his origins, finally understands where he came from and why he has powers. Mary tells Hancock that they have been drawn to each other throughout history, with their lives intertwining over the centuries. However, every time they are together for too long, they lose their powers and become mortal, which has led them to separate repeatedly in the past. In their most recent life together, Hancock was badly injured in an attack decades ago, which resulted in him losing his memory of who he really was. Mary chose not to reveal herself to him after the injury, allowing him to live separately from her in order to regain his immortality. Hancock now understands that being close to Mary makes him vulnerable. This becomes critical as Hancock has spent his entire life being invulnerable and nearly invincible. Now he realizes that if he stays with Mary, he could be hurt or even unalived. After Hancock learns about his vulnerability due to his proximity to Mary, he becomes confused and frustrated. Hancock enters a liquor store, hoping to get something to drink to cope with his confusion and the growing emotional burden of being mortal. As he's in the store, the clerk signals to him that he's in trouble. Hancock's heroic instincts kick in. Despite being frustrated with his current situation, he steps in to stop the robbers, trying to act as the hero he's been working hard to become. However, during the scuffle, one of the robbers pulls out a gun and shoots Hancock at close range. Unfortunately, unlike in the past when bullets would bounce off him or cause no harm, this time they have a devastating effect. Hancock falls to the ground, visibly injured and in pain. He is immediately taken to a hospital for emergency treatment. While Hancock is in the hospital, the threat of death looms larger. His injuries are critical, and without his superhuman ability to heal, he is at risk of dying from the gunshot wounds. Meanwhile, Red Parker, the criminal Hancock humiliated and sent to prison, has escaped and is plotting his revenge. He knows that Hancock is now vulnerable, and he sees this as his opportunity to unalive him. They arrive heavily armed, prepared to take advantage of Hancock's newfound mortality. Hancock, realizing that Mary's life is in danger as long as they remain close, makes the painful decision to put distance between them. He knows that if he stays near her, they will both die. As he starts to leave, Mary's condition slowly stabilizes, showing that his plan has worked. A month later, Hancock has embraced his role as a true hero. In a final act of heroism, Hancock painted a heart symbol on the moon itself as a tribute to Ray and Mary, showing that he still cares for them and is watching over them, even though he can no longer be the part of their lives. Make sure to like and subscribe for more notifications. Until next time, see you soon.